It's Doc Savage, and it's also X7, your host of Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters. And today we're going to be talking about 4 books featuring Doc Savage, 2 about him and 2 that are his stories. Well, we're just going to briefly go over the stories because, there's 81 original adventures by Kenneth Robeson, and there have been several more where he teams up with Tarzan, his cousin, or something. Well, we'll get into that. Be that as it may, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. We'd really appreciate it, especially if you could watch just a few minutes longer than you would normally. Really appreciate that as well. So, having said that, grab yourself a big old bowl of hummus of perfection, and let's look at this. Well, we're starting with the Doc Savage reproduction book that I got because I like the cover more than the one that they reprinted with his original first 2 adventures for his Diamond Anniversary in 2009. So that means Doc is 82 years old, which makes him predate both Batman and Superman. And, Doc had his Fortress of Solitude first. Be that as it may, this is from Nostalgia Ventures, doing business as I think it's Condé Nast. Let's see. Advanced Magazine Publishers, Inc., published under license of Advanced Magazine Publishers, Inc., doing business as the Condé Nast Publications, who were the original publishers of Doc Savage, the book. So, Doc here was first published in Doc Savage Magazine #1, March 1933. So he predates even King Kong, which is hard to believe, but I think now he's met King Kong. They ran for until the summer of 1949, and then 181 episodes were published, and there were comic books. Amazingly enough, there were no movies or even a serial, because Doc Savage and his Amazing Five would have made a great serial. And a comic strip, I believe there was one. So, and no cartoons, which is still odd. But we'll talk about that. So these are 2 later adventures from 35 and 39. This was the reprint with the original, not the original cover. That's the James Bama cover. Now, I know everyone loves James Bama covers because they're dynamic, but, Doc looks like he's 104 years old here. If you look at him, here's the original covers. He didn't have that short cropped hair, and, he didn't look like that. So, this was published for the Diamond Anniversary 7 years ago. It's got all of these are complete stories, which is really nice. I would have preferred them to be in order, just because, well, that's me. You wouldn't have this one, 12 and then 14, but in various different form, numbers here. If you can see that, give Stanley, the creator of Spider-Man and the X-Men. Come on, that just perpetuates the myth that Stan was like that, and I don't know. Anyway, Doc's first story, where his father dies, the Savage Five, that's a Shaw Brothers movie, and the Incredible Five were formed. This is what was adapted into the movie in 1975. Comic books, and there have been a ton of Marvel's done a comic book, DC's done a comic book. The Thousand-Headed Man, Chuck Connors, Man of Bronze, 1975. That was with George Powell, one of his last ones. Unfortunately, it's fun, but it isn't great. It's almost great. It's almost really good. It's good if you go into it with the right attitude. So these have the illustrations: Land of Terror, dinosaurs. So, but they also have all sorts of extras that you add on here, I believe. Let's grab there. Oh, Lester Dent's autobiography. Lester Dent was the man who wrote most of the Doc Savage books, even though they were credited to the house name of Kenneth Robeson, which can be confusing. So, illustrations inside. Now, these are all called pulps because they were on pulp Wood, pulp wood. Yes, because all paper is wood. Good job there, Seven. Yeah, there's the cover, or they added some stuff here and there. They've caught some typos. Typographical errors have been tacitly corrected in this edition, which I think is a good thing. Yeah, this is from 2008. This one was from 2007. So I got them at Time Warp. I will probably get some more. They're $13, but it's well worth it. The illustrations are. It's nice to see them illustrated and presented as is. They don't try to change anything because they're not always the kindest toward, especially I'm sure when they get to the war years. All right, so those are the two books, the Doc Savage actual fiction pulps with 4 stories. Well worth it because you can't if you try to buy the books or the original pulps. Good luck finding them. My next book here was published in 1973, long after the original books had been pulps had been out of print, but the books had been obviously it's got a James Obama there and there. But this is by Philip Jose Farmer, who's great. He'd done a Tarzan book in a similar vein right before this, and then he did Doc Savage. And this gives him, and I'll read from the back here. There's the back once again. Read from the back. The Golden Giant who fought 181 separate battles against the forces of evil. Although in the addendum he says about 3 of them didn't really happen. I would have that number, but that's okay. A detailed family tree relating Doc to Tarzan, Sherlock Holmes, Sam Spade, James Bond, Fu Manchu, and Travis McGee. They talk about his devilish opponents. John Sunlight was the only one who appeared twice, which is kind of interesting. Biographies of the Fabulous Five, Monk, Ham, Rennie, Johnny, and Long Tom. Talks about his cousin, Pat Savage. And it's called the apocalyptic because the word apocalypse means to uncover. Damn this desk. Anyway, it runs 266 pages, full of information. Philip Jose Farmer is one of my favorite authors. He wrote Venus on the Half Shell, which I quite enjoy as well, plus a Phileas Fogg, Around the World in 80 Days, and why he was doing it. So there's that. This is really just a fun little book. I got it for $2.50, and I actually still have. Oh no, this is a musical I went to called "Crazy for You," the Starlight Bowl in Balboa Park, 6/29/99. So I'm assuming and there's the original receipt there. You can't really see it's from La Mesa Used Bookstore in Old Town La Mesa. Looks like I bought this on 125.99. So it's nice I like having those just for reasons. But it is not illustrated at all. Those were the illustrations, except for the cover. But it's really well done. It's better than his Tarzan book because he got the Tarzan one out of the way and then redid it. I'm still surprised that there was never any a serial made by Republic. Wouldn't that have been great? Slam bang action, especially if they'd made it before World War II. But there are still Doc Savage appreciation societies out there. They publish fanzines as well. I have one somewhere in the basement. I could not find it. Otherwise, we'd have a 5 count of books. That's King Kong Bundy reference, since I'm holding Doc Savage. And he did show up after King Kong fell, both him and the Shadow, at least according to Philip Jose Farmer. He tied in I like the way that he did a shared universe with several of these creatures. He talks about the Shadow and the Spider and the Avenger, all the original ones from the pulps, and how they're all interrelated. So he did it before Alan Moore did it with the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Alan Moore wisely said it a little before that, with Captain Nemo, even if he didn't get Nemo's. Well, we won't even get into that. I did also quite enjoy the comic book, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I just couldn't handle watching the actual movie, which I don't think many people actually did. But you tell me. I don't know. I didn't see it. Some people liked it, I think. Be that as it may, that's so. I highly recommend this if you can find it. I don't know if it's out anywhere. These you can probably still order or find at your local comic book store if you have one. Right, order them right from Nostalgia Ventures, but they're quality. They'll last way longer than the original pulps. I've seen some Doc Savage pulps, and I'd be afraid to open them up. I've still got obviously famous monsters of Filmland and books from the 70s or magazines from the 70s that are done on cheap pulp. Maybe a little newsprint, maybe. And even newsprints, questionable for a lengthy. It'll outlive me, of course, and all of us, anyone watching this. Okay, so our next book and final book here is a great one. This is from McFarland Press. It's published in 2009. It's very similar to this, except that it is illustrated. It talks about the movie, which had not been released yet. The movie was talked about in here, and they had high hopes for it, and I'm sure that they were not thrilled, which is sad because it had a great cast, and we will review the movie at some point. But it's got synopses of all the episodes in order. Episodes. Um, does that say Land of Terror? Land of Always Night. Okay. This is written by, where does his name go? Robert Michael Bob Cotter, who also has written books about, I have one right here because I thought I was going to just talk about him, but he wrote this amazing book, did all, and this is why there hasn't ever been one about just El Santo or anything, but I mean, we could do one on masked luchadors in the movies. But this one's just amazing because it does have the monsters. It has the luchadoras. It's really great, and we will talk about it. I have it in my list. But Doc gets first crack here. So let's see. Robert Michael Bob Cotter, a graphic designer, lives in Pittsburgh. In addition to having written several books about comics and films, he also writes a column for Creepy Classics. Cover art by Walter M. Baumhofer, from the March 1933 issue of Doc Savage Magazine #1, which you can see over here in a much worse form as my title card, which you'll see at the end. So this goes through all of his, all of the original stories, some parodies like this, Doc Sausage. I don't know what the other one was. Of course, Doc talks about the movie, Marvel Comics. I don't know if that was an adaptation or not of the movie. Marvel did a magazine. Well, they did a comic book first, where he sort of teamed up with Spider-Man and I believe the Thing. Time travel, don't you know? Drawing a blank. I had them. I don't have them anymore. Kind of wish I still did. But Millennium Comic. I mean, there have been a lot of publishers who've done comic books. And unfortunately, they've never been really. There's his original. I was looking for a cover of this, but I could not find a Doc Savage comic book cover. The Doc Savage History of Comics. Gold Key did one at least. And Marvel did 8 comics and 6 magazines. Dark Horse has done The Shadow. There's Patricia Savage. And they talk about the movie. And it's great. I mean, these are not cheap. I'm going to say it's about $40 maybe. But it is by McFarland, so it's well researched and well done. I have no qualms about recommending this highly. I'm trying to see if we got a price on this thing. Well, I don't. One of his other books I'm going to buy is the Carolyn Monroe book about her history in life, and I think that would be a lot of fun because I really adore Carolyn. And is there anything else? I don't know what I have in here. Let's see. What is this? I don't have any idea where this came from. The Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Wednesday, August 30th, 2000. Oh, I can't even. I know that they had some big hits in the '70s and maybe early '80s, but I can't tell you why this is in here, where it came from, who I got it from. Go figure. But I digress. Anyway, that is our episode for today, and we're going to wrap it up here. All right, my fellow agents, that is our episode for today. Just remember, if you need help, find Doc. He's got 5 fabulous agents plus a stunning cousin that'll help you out. And until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off.
When slithering horror threatens, when assassins narrow their sights, when terrorists strike, when killers fill the sky, when the green wigglies are coming to get you. When you're all doomed to die a horrible death.
We're all doomed to die a horrible death.
When you're in that kind of trouble, who do you call on?
Doc Savage! Doc Savage! Doc Savage! Doc Savage!
Have no fear. Doc Savage is here.
Well, now, you handle the documents.
Yes.
Is there anything you can remember about them?
It is very strange, senor. The deed was signed by the chief of the Quetzal tribe. But there is no Quetzal tribe. Can you believe this?
Yes. Yes, I think I can. My father got there. Somehow I must get there, too.
But it may take days to get there.
You've brought us this far, Mona, and I thank you.
I love you.
Mona, you're a brick.
Champagne?
No, thank you.
Perhaps something a bit more potent.
I'll have a Coke, please.
He's noble and strong. He's got a brain, a super brain that will not rest. He'll right every wrong. Let us all try and help to soothe the savage breast.
Here it is, the edge of the world. Below, in the valley of the Vanish, live the Quetzalmals. There is no way down.
It's time to proceed. Stay in your seat and hope he'll beat his evil foe.